We don't need rules here. We're going to go with strategies, financial planning strategies. And the other one is information that's designed to take the fear out of all of this. Whether it's planning for your own financial future or even economic trends. Things like Social Security or how much money the Fed has borrowed out or what's happening with inflation anyway. And sometimes we'll look at historical trends to tell us what we can maybe expect today. And in all of it, our goal, my goal, and I want to say our, because I want to create a network and a community where we can all share ideas and help support each other in trying to secure our financial future. That's what this is going to be about. How do I know any of these things? Well, I've spent my entire career in financial planning. I started with an insurance company, then I worked for an investment firm, and more than 25 years ago now, I started an educational business training licensed agents. They need a certain amount of continuing education to renew their licenses, and so I create and instruct those courses. And I've been doing that for 25 years. I create classes on things like Social Security, the Federal Reserve, interest rates, asset allocation, you name it, we teach it. And so now I'm going to take all of that valuable information to you. I'm also writing a book. And point one, whenever I say that, people say, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. And I'm not minimizing that. If you've got a dream, follow it. And we're going to talk about that too. Because if we're doing things that bring us joy, the financial rewards will come with it. Well, it depends on what our expectations are. So we're going to talk about that too. But anyways, I digress. Look, a lot of work. I have hours and hours and hours invested. I've kind of edited most of it at least once. But I'm only like 2/3 through the content. And that's part of the reason that I decided to do this channel. It was taking too long to get the information to you. And in the end, you might not read a book. So I'm going to give you the information here in YouTube. And before I got started, I Googled, what are the top Google searches with financial questions? And the number one on the list, should I pay off my debt or should I save? And do you know what? That is one of the number one things that I talk about in my book, because there happen to be a lot of pundits out there. And when I say pundits, I mean people like this. Yes, that's Dave Ramsey. If you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, I'd encourage you to Google him, maybe. You could go follow his advice, but I'm going to tell you what you're going to learn here is going to work better. A lot of people will say that you should do both. You should pay off your debt and you should save. And I'm going to tell you, yes, you should do that, but not in equal amounts. I'm going to give you 2 of the 6 strategies I have to maximize the benefits you use from your debt. Yes, there's benefits to debt. Yeah, it's a financial planning tool. Just like a mutual fund or a savings account, your debt is also a financial planning tool. And so I'm going to share with you the 6 strategies. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the first 2. I'm going to do another video to talk about all 6 of them. And here's strategy number 1. Make minimum payments only. When you make minimum payments only on all of your debt, this allows you to save more money. And the savings is more important. The savings is super important. every day you put off saving money and paying off debt instead, it is one less day you have money making free money. You see, while it's growing in a savings account, that's all free money. Now, yeah, you're going to have to pay taxes on it, but you're making money. That's the most important thing. In fact, consider this. Imagine, if you will, you've got $20,000 in a car loan. Yep. And you have $20,000, not just $20. No, $20,000 in savings. $20,000 in debt, $20,000 in savings. Question for you. Are you in debt? Now, I got to tell you, most people will, because I teach this in my classes, will start to go, well, you've got debt, so you must be in debt. But the reality is no. You have debt. Yes, you have debt in this example. But you also have the means to pay for it. And since you have the means to pay it off, you're not really in debt. I want you to also think about this just for a second. I want you to imagine that you have enough money in savings in a beautiful, glorious account with your name on it. And there's enough money in there to pay off all your debts. And in fact, all of that money is generating income so that even if you chose not to pay off your debts with it, you'd still be able to afford to make the payments. Now, when you imagine yourself with, yes, having some loans, but also having the money to pay for it, how do you feel? Because I got to tell you, there's security in having that money saved. Having the money saved provides security. And it's one of the ways that we reduce our fear. Because when we have money saved, our fear of the future is less. So, tip number 1 with your debt, make minimum payments only. If you're making extra, if you're contributing more than that to your debts, now you just take that money and you put it into savings. And we're going to deal with all the strategies on how to save that up in future videos. But for now, just put it in a savings account. Most money markets right now pay in like 5.5. Now, that's not always going to be the case. That's why at this YouTube channel and inside my book, we're going to talk about lots of strategies for places for you to invest that, where you will get, on average, over the long term, around 7%, maybe even more. We'll talk about that. Not making any promises right now. We're going to talk about that. So here is debt strategy number 2. Because you might be sitting there thinking, well, Renee, I've got, in fact, somebody today even just told me $60,000 in credit card debt. This is huge. That's a lot of interest. And so you might be sitting there going, oh my God, Renee, I can't make minimum payments only. The minimum payment will only basically pay the interest. You're right. You can't just make the minimum payment on that. But I also didn't tell you to keep your credit card debt. See, this is strategy number 2. Never, ever, ever leave money on high interest rate credit cards. Years ago, it's the first time I moved out. In fact, I moved out when I was 17. I was still in high school, for crying out loud. But I've always been an independent person and I wanted to live on my own. And I thought I could do it. And I kind of did. I paid my rent. I paid my expenses. I paid my way. But the problem is routine household things like toilet paper, paper towels, all of that sort of thing, even the stuff to get started in an apartment, a shower curtain, as an example, I charged. And that credit card, and mind you, this is like 1984, 1985. We're going back in time. That credit card had like a $1,200 balance on it. And effectively what would happen is each and every month I'd make a sizable payment to it, but then I'd charge all of those household things that I needed, adding that all back on. I could never get it below the $1,200. And my father, well, I went to my dad and I said, Dad, will you borrow me the money? I want to pay this off. In fact, I went home. It was too early to launch off on my own. And when I went home, I asked my dad to help me pay it off. And he said that he would, but he made me make a promise. Renee, don't ever do this again. Do not ever let your credit cards have a balance. Now, if you get 0% or you got some really good deal on your credit cards, like 1.5% or something like that, leave it there. Yes, you can make more money than that, like I said, right now in a money market account. A money market account isn't a bank savings account, but it is guaranteeing your principal, and a bunch of them right now, and it's 2024, are paying like 5%. So if you have money borrowed at 0 or 1.5, or really just about anything below the 5, keep it there and leave the money in the savings account. Are you with me? So we're only talking about high interest stuff. Don't ever leave a balance there. And I made that promise to my father, and I'm telling you this right now. I've never left a balance on a credit card. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, great, Renee, that works for you, but I already have this money on the credit card. What am I supposed to do with that? I got an answer for you there. Years ago, and I don't even know how it happened, but I got myself a line of credit attached to my checking account. I think probably the bank said, hey lady who pays your bills and has a good credit score, we as a bank would like to make some money off of you. So we are going to offer you this line of credit. If ever you overdraw on your account, don't worry, won't cost you anything because this line of credit will pay it for you. So no overdraft charges. But then I found too that this helped me stay out of credit card debt. You see, if I had a relatively large purchase on there that I didn't have the cash for in savings, or just like I've described already, or I didn't want to take it out of savings because the savings account was doing so well, I would use the line of credit. And then throughout that month, I'd work to get it paid off. If I couldn't get it paid off by the end of the month, the line of credit, then I might take the money out of savings or figure something out. And I'll also tell you this, that line of credit keeps me in a budget. See, anytime I dip into the line of credit, I know I've gone too far in my spending. And now I got to rein it in until I can get it paid off. I'm not good at budgeting other ways. I don't know about you, but I don't like sticking to a budget. If a friend calls me up and says, hey, Renee, you want to go out for pizza? I want to go out for pizza. It's my friend, and I love pizza. Who wouldn't want to go? I'm not going to sit there and go, I spent all my pizza money, so I can't go. No, I'm going to pizza. But I am going to try to find some other way that I can trim that money out of my budget that month. If you found yourself in high credit card debt because of excessive spending, we have to get that taken care of. No good financial plan will work unless we get that taken care of. And we'll talk about that at this channel too. So, those are my first two rules. Minimum payments only on your debt. You put all that extra money in a savings account. Get started on that today. If you do have high interest rate credit card debt, get it rolled over to something else. The person I mentioned who said the $60,000 today, immediately as she mentioned it, she said, I've got to get that consolidated to something else. So find a way to get that consolidated to lower interest debt. We'll talk about things like credit score, how to finance these. I've got so much information to share with you. So do me a favor. Subscribe if you like what you heard so far. That way, as I release the new videos, hopefully twice a week, you'll get all the content that you need. The second thing is note something in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know your other questions. I want to make sure that we all enter our financial future without fear. And I gotta tell you, we can do it. I've had plenty of fear around my finances too. It's perfectly normal. But the fear isn't a bad thing. The fear is a good thing to help move us into certain directions that will reduce the fear. That's what we're going to do here. So, write some stuff in the doobly-doo and hit that subscribe button, because we got a lot of work to do. I hope you have a great day.